All right. Is this working? Am I on? What is going on? Okay. So, obviously, this is my first stream. And setting this up has just been ridiculously, I don't want to say complex, but it's been complex and just anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. I mean, even to like lens failure, and it's been quite comical every step of the way. Anyway, so this is my first stream. I was going to keep it simple because it is the first stream, and I wanted to get through the technical difficulties. I'm actually streaming in my wife's office. This is not my office. I'm setting that up. I'm redoing that. I've got all my computers down there, and how this works out is going to determine how I set things up. And it was just a little easier up here to set things up. So I thought today, instead of doing anything, well, there's been big things happening in the AI imagery world, and you can't deny it. This week, Midjourney came out with version 4, which looks amazing and crazy, and I can't wait to get in there and mess around with it and do some live streams using that. But the reason I'm not doing it, besides adding to the complexity of doing my first stream, the reason I am not doing that today is the aspect ratio is still limited to a 1:1 or a square. So you can kind of test out the new version 4 engine. But the reason I'm not really thrilled about it is the way I use Midjourney. One, I think the images are better when they're 16:9 or 9:16, like in rectangular orientation. But I find the Midjourney AI engine to be it's very good at storytelling, but it's storytelling with an environment. It's not just a character, where I feel Stable Diffusion does really well with your character, and then that kind of drives the story, where you can really set an environment and atmosphere with Midjourney, and that could just be the way I use it. I'm sure that plenty of people out there that will prove me wrong, and that's the beauty of the internet. Anyway, I thought I would go over some of my last project. So what I did was I'm a professional artist, professional photographer, professional designer, professional everything. Battle tested in visual arts. I worked in the film industry for well over a decade, and I'm very cautious about putting software or processes into the pipeline before I am really certain about them. And the only way to really be certain about a process or software is to test it on a project. And I try to create projects that are as realistic as possible. So I got in, I would say around mid-August, I started hitting the project I set for myself was decorating my house for Halloween. And doing that was going to be doing a bunch of prints and stuff and I should have brought some up. I have a couple here. These are small ones. I should have brought some framed ones. So I've done like these were framed and stuff and put around my house for a big party. These were created in Midjourney. I'll show you the digital file so you can get a good view on those. But really, it was creating a project and executing on it and making sure that the software or engine, AI engine, was not going to trip me up. And the more I can battle test it, the more confident I'll be when dealing with a client outside of my control, and being able to execute on their needs. So I ended up, my concept for decorating the house was I wanted to do a light version of Disney's Haunted Mansion, the Haunted Mansion ride. I wanted you to come into my house and feel that this is kind of the light version. And the thing with the Disney attraction is that it is full of details, busts and paintings. Everyone knows the paintings that stretch out and everything. And I was like, oh, that's kind of my aesthetic and mood that I want to set in my house for my Halloween party. So that's what I did. And sorry, I'm looking at my I just don't. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm so new to all this streaming stuff, and like you got 2 softwares going, and I'll get used to it. And this is really good because, again, as I say, as I'm setting up my new office, this is going to really be helpful in determining how I execute on that. But anyway, back to my Halloween project. So the important part of the decorations were going to be paintings, portraits, done with AI, and the not only am I going to do like creepy photos that and framed on the walls, but I also executed using Dream Booth. So I did portraits of each of my family in creepy Halloween-esque painting sort of things. It kind of gave the feeling that we we're almost immortal, and we've been around for a while, and we've each got our own supernatural secret, so to say. So yeah, let's look at some of those. I'm going to bring up my Lightroom. So here is, let's see. Ooh. So this was the bar in our house. These images. This my wife, and this was printed out. I gotta say, the AI imagery printed out so nicely. It was it was incredible. And, you know, everyone that came through the house, you know, we actually had 2 parties and, you know, probably had 35 people come through, and they were just glued to the portraits and like how they were made, and how closely they resembled everyone in the family. This is my oldest son, did a zombie for him. My wife, you know, she was kind of a Morticia Addams type of character. And my youngest son, we gave him a Victorian gravedigger look. Oh, and look, there's me. It's a vampire type thing. And of course I added the webs and everything. And all I got to tell you is the day after Halloween, I started planning. I actually started a note on my iPhone, plans for Halloween 2023. So I'm already working on it. And these, you know, the fake webs and everything all over it. It's going to be huge next year. I'm so excited. So excited. Here's just a picture straight from I shouldn't say straight from. It's from Midjourney, and then I also did a quick image of Edgar Allan Poe. So yeah, right here is the portrait that came straight out of Dream Booth. Is it Dream Booth? Yeah, it's Dream Studio, Dream Booth. It came straight out of Dream Booth using the Google collab. It's my wife as as Morticia type, Morticia Addams type character, and this is where it started. And you're limited to a 512 by 512 square for your portrait, and I trained hers with, I want to say 111 images, and you know, when I was working with Dream Booth, I was trying all different sorts of stuff. I tried different amount of images for each of us. I tried everything from 1,000 steps up to 30,000 steps, and I learned what over baking your model is, because 30,000 steps really over bakes your model, and it's bizarre what starts to happen when you start to overtrain the Dream Booth model. Undertraining doesn't seem to be as big of an issue. You can still get a good hit rate with well, not a good hit rate, but you can get a hit rate where every once in a while you get something that looks familiar and good fidelity with the character. But overtraining, it starts to get like a bad CRT TV. You know, it's like all this noise gets thrown into it. But so this is what I started with. This was the image that got kicked out of Dream Booth, and then this is what I finished with. Let's see, and I have 2 different crops here. Same image. The difference was cropping for printing, because all of these were going out to print, and I printed on a fine art paper, Epson. It's a hot press bright, so it's a soft watercolor type of paper, very porous, not a high gloss. Although this is I also did some high gloss for these, because these are supposed to be magazine covers. So I printed those out on high gloss. But as you can see, this was the original, and then I ran this, first ran it through the face correction GAN program on Google Collab to fix the eyes and soften the face a bit, and then blended that back in. And you're probably wondering, but since I only had this portrait, I had to extend this, and I extended all of them using DALL-E 2, the out painting or canvas extending, and that created its own unique issues. One, and I could be not very proficient in DALL-E 2 because I spent the least amount of time in that. But you seem to get a less, I don't want to say photorealistic, it's almost a coarser image than you do out of midjourney and Stable Diffusion. So this, you can see, but I also kind of use that as an artistic vignette where I want people really focused on the face. So I want the face sharp and focused. And, this is kind of a painting technique too, is the further you get from your focal point, the looser it gets. So it worked in this case. Changed the background. All of these also were run through Adobe's Enhance, which I think quadruples the resolution size, which made it so I could go from here to, printing at 300 DPI. And this I ended up printing, I want to say it was like 17 by 22 or something. So we went pretty big on it. But yeah, I'm really happy with that one. That was kind of the centerpiece above the bar. And everyone knew it was Sarah, and as Morticia. Here is another image of Sarah, and this was a second portrait for her. And this kicked back again, 512 by 512, ran it through the GAN program, doubled the resolution, fixed any abnormalities in the face, and then composited that back in over an enhanced version of itself. That way I could keep kind of the painterly look I was going for. And this was the final from that. You can see the exposure gamma of this is a little bit brighter, and that has to do with when I went to print, my final output isn't a computer screen. It is it's a printer, so I do have to fit within that color space. I love the way this turned out. As you can see, I even erased the dress that it had placed her or stole or fur or whatever. I erased all that, and so really when I brought it to DALL-E 2, it had very little to play with, and it did a wonderful job expanding. But that brings up, this is a really good example of the problems when going to DALL-E 2, is you get something like this. So this is all fine and polished at the end, but when I got it out of DALL-E 2, I had this. And the interesting thing is you can see these rectangles, and each rectangle is a extension. Like this is where the original head was. This is pretty much what came off of what came from the Dream booth, and then ran it through GAN, and so I just kept expanding and expanding. But you can see the problem with DALL-E 2 is each next, I think, what do you expand it, 1024? Next block is a different exposure. Typically, they seem to be getting lighter and lighter as you move on. So this gave me a good base, but I did have to go back and to get this final, I did have to go paint. You can still see a little bit there, and if I wasn't the final client, I would match those blacks. I knew this discrepancy wouldn't hold up once it went to print, but as you can see, that it's interesting. So the more you build off of it, it seems to get lighter and lighter, but it does add some really cool stuff. Like the hair, it did really well. It continued the hair nicely, and but yeah, I was a little surprised when that happened. But here's the final. Really happy with that. All right, and here is next image of my oldest son crawling out. He loves zombies, loves zombie movies. So this was an image that I got out of Dream Booth. Has a good, looks like him as a zombie, and then actually this is 1024, which 194. But looks like him as a zombie crawling out of the ground, and I did extend it a bit. I don't think all this ground was here. Trying to go through. The weird thing is working off of the Google Collabs. They don't give you the breadcrumbs to go back, and it's not saving your prompts or anything like that. So going back, and I was pushing a lot out, and I wasn't always great about keeping track of like what prompt I was using and this and that. Back to my wife, I should say, this was the prompt that I used. Portrait painting of a beautiful pale skin, XRS person. So that is that was the name that's the name I gave to my model within Dream Booth. So that's why it's a weird name, and it seemed like you want to get something that's very unique, and basically when you type it into Google, it's not going to bring up. It's not going to get confused when it mixes your model with the AI model. With long black hair, vampire gothic, elegant long black dress, long black sleeves, long black skirt, photorealistic, very dark background, Rembrandt lighting, highly detailed, ArtStation. I don't usually use that, but I was, there was a lot of testing going on. I probably ran 200 images of her, so I'm not sure what my motivation was. And then smooth and sharp focus, and that was the prompt for her. I don't have the prompts for my sons. I'm disappointed I didn't keep track of that. Because normally once I have something successful, I copy the prompt over to a notepad and so I can keep track of it, but I don't. So there's him coming out of the ground. here's my youngest son, and the goal of this one, I wanted something Victorian looking, so gave the illusion of us, having some immortal superpower. I'm not saying we don't. I'm just saying that's the illusion. Okay. So then I took this one and expanded the canvas using DALL-E 2, and I also ran it through the GAN program to clean up the eyes, clean up the face, and sometimes that GAN program will keep you on target and accentuate the characteristics. Sometimes it goes off target. Luckily for this one, it stayed on target. And this was the final image of the grave digger. I was having a hard time getting a shovel in there, but I did get a trowel, which I thought was kind of cute and weird, and goes back and supports my aesthetic of kind of the quirky haunted house of Disney. So maybe this is him playing around in the graveyard and taking his time digging, and had a nice full moon, and again I extended it. This one did better with the exposure when I was extending it, so very, very happy with that. And then I did overlay kind of a oil painterly texture to make these look more aged. All in all, pretty successful. And then back to my oldest son, who's the zombie fanatic. This is what came out of Dream Booth. Looks a lot like him. Pretty grotesque. I did have a lot of trouble extending this one because there was this dark, bloody black area at the bottom, and Dream Booth really wanted to create that into clothing. So I ended up having to erase most of that and let Dream Booth do something along these lines to extend it. And but yeah, that's a pretty gruesome one. And it you can kind of see where it cut. I didn't blend this great, but it did a pretty good job connecting the hair, because he didn't have the top of the head in this one. So we extended in that direction too. I could have done some cloning and made sure that line wasn't so prominent, but again, I was happy with the output, and it was much less obvious when it went to print. You lose contrast, and ink kind of bleeds a little bit and softens things up like that, especially when you're dealing with a watercolor paper. So yeah, that's another one people were creeped out by. Here's an image that was straight out of, this is not how I printed it, but this was straight out of midjourney, version 3 or version 2. It was before the beta, which and before test P and test and all that. Might have been 3. In the final image, I cloned out this area that looks like it's in a book. But yeah, it was kind of cool. It was a schematic type thing, and I put it in our kitchen. It seemed to go with that. I love this character. I could probably pull that prompt up. I don't have it right on me right now, but it was like a schematic of a scarecrow pumpkin. I did rerun this prompt in version 4, and it didn't turn out as well. It just didn't have the character to it. It made it a little too precise. This was the quick image. I wanted a picture of Edgar Allan Poe. I needed an extra, and I pulled that together rather quickly, and worked great. Here's me as a vampire, angry vampire. Gave me hella good cheekbones. Look at that. It was all day long with those things. But very cool. One of the and this was after I extended it a bit, or extended it using Dream Booth and everything. A little weird that the symmetry I found in the hair, and my hair isn't receding that much, but it still looks really good. One of the things with all these images, I wanted them all to look painterly. I try to shy away from using actual artists' names. I kind of want more general terms, and I was able to kind of get that throughout. This was not, I don't have the prompt for this one, but yeah, that's me. It's a vampire. It's my youngest son again, kind of dead-like, maybe zombie, maybe vampire. I don't know. Just he could use some sleep, I think. And then there was the crop. I don't think I needed to use Dolly on this one. I did run it again. All of these were run through Adobe's Enhance, so they're all enhanced, and that quadruples the size, so we can get to a good print size. This was another corner. This was in my dining room. More images. You'll see my wife's image there, and a couple other ones we'll go over. But that's kind of how I set it up. This was straight out of Midjourney. Midjourney 3. These are the kind of images I like to make anyway. A little sinister, a little dark. Kid in a rainstorm, looking at the carousel, and Midjourney version 3 was really good at these too. But this is like why I don't want to start talking about Midjourney 4 yet, because it doesn't have the aspect ratio correct. This is kind of the environmental with character storytelling that I like. It's almost a street photography style in a way. Another image I created straight out of Midjourney. Of a dilapidated entrance, I guess, or dilapidated. An old graveyard, let's say. And definitely set the mood in the house. The next one, this is an image I love. I created this early on in Midjourney, and there was a point where when I first got on Midjourney, I just felt so creative, just coming up with blending all of these ideas, and I blended my octopus and elephant. Octophant, maybe. And it's kind of a quirky oddity. So I thought that was a good print to put up, and people thought that was really wild, and it's I think oddities are what do they call it? the study of creatures, that cryptozoology and oddity type thing. And then I composited in Photoshop some caustics over it to give it that underwater feel. I needed another picture of a dilapidated house. I did a little post-processing on it with to replicate an old lens, because the old lens is 100 years old. They didn't have the depth of field. They were shallow depth of field. So that's in portraits and stuff, you really want that blurry background and everything. But nowadays, if you took this picture, you would want it crisp with hyperfocal from front to back. But I went into Photoshop and kind of faked an old lens and some vignetting and some focal vignetting. And I made it black and white just to really sell it. But yeah, I mean, this stuff, it worked great on the walls, and as people walk by, even if they go up and stare at it, it's just like these extra details of decorating. This was another very early image I created. I live out here on Cape Cod, so lighthouses are a big thing, and I love the monster aesthetic and big storms, and this was neat because there's a monster in it, but it's also, it's not completely detailed and fleshed out. It's kind of, the scary part is what you don't see. And I've done a bunch of these, and love them. And that's something like, again, like I don't think the new version 4 engine would handle this. Like, I think this is, I hope we are able to keep our version 3s, and it seems like Midjourney will always allow you to go back and use that, because you can really make some magic, some expressive magic with version 3. Here's an image of me, again with the Disney aesthetic. This one was actually after I upscaled it in the GAN program, because you can see the skin is a little repetitive in the texturing, and but I really just needed that eye. And then my final portrait was right here, and it's kind of goofy general type thing. Oh, my prompt for this was XRR person. That would be me. That was a model I made for me. Portrait, 1800s, explorer, goofy, funny, clumsy, silly, highly detailed, digital painting, concept art, smooth, sharp focus, illustration, cinematic lighting, dark background, single light. I really like that single light, as you can tell, even the way I like this, even my stream. Dark shadows, just trying to get it very contrasty and moody. Yeah, that one turned out. And then again, I put a nice cracked oil painting texture over it, and extended it with Dolly. Dolly did struggle a little bit with that. I just ran a lot of versions to get this. Here was a cracked doll. This was straight out of Midjourney. Cracked porcelain doll, and then I composited real eyes in, and just to give that unsettling feeling. So here I made this one quite a while back, and it was a skull pancakes. Was what I was going for. I don't have the prompt on it, but it turned out really good, very photorealistic. This was version 3 of midjourney, and that was pretty much straight. I extended it a little bit for my final print, which I'll show you in a second. This came out of the same set. You know, it was skulls and pancakes. Skulls and blueberry pancakes, that's where my head was that day. And then the way I used that in my decorating for Halloween was I put these pictures in our kitchen. It's an open floor plan, so the kitchen kind of goes into the dining room, into the bar area, into the living room. So I converted these into Bon Appetit magazine covers and framed them, and it was cool. It was a cool little detail, and people loved them. Went over really well. So I did this guy. I did have to change the aspect ratio because I had the wrong size frames. And this was another one. I reran this prompt. Skull coffee art prompt, and this version 4 did an amazing job at it. And I probably don't have it here. Sorry. And yeah, here's Bon Appetit, and you know, everyone's like, "Oh, is that a photograph?" You know, you get that a lot. Like, is that a photograph? It's like, no, that doesn't exist. And then it's very surprising. And these are how I presented them. And of course, I don't have the Halloween lighting, but you get the idea of how and then everything's covered in fake spider webs, and so much fun. I love Halloween. Back to this guy. I'm not sure why he's popping up again, but look at those cheekbones. Bon appetit, bon appetit, bon appetit. Here's our Edgar Allan Poe. Really cool. And our cemetery. A couple more details from the house. Yeah. I guess I didn't organize these correctly, but yeah, those are how the prints turned out, and you know, really excited, and really becoming more confident in being able to lean on this in a professional manner. So that's my stream. That's my first stream. How long did I go? I feel like I've been yakking on here for a while. 43 minutes. All right. Nobody's in the chat. I'm pretty much talking to myself. All right. Not too bad, but okay. This gives me an idea. Of course, this will go public. And I'd like to start doing these at least once a week. I want to be set up for that. It's I'm sure hopefully somebody will rewatch it and check it out. It's I don't know. It's fun. There are more things I want to add to it. I want to kind of spice up the look of my live streams. But wow. This was pretty cool. Okay, and next time I'm hoping next week midjourney will have the aspect ratios implemented, because I think that's going to make a big difference. What other fun stuff? If not, maybe I'll go through and I don't know. Maybe I'll do some work on Dream Booth. I'm using the collab version right now. I'm going to switch over to an online server where I can basically install Stable Diffusion and Dream Booth and do something a little bit more robust than the collab. While I like the collab, it's they keep it up to date. It's just I'd like to be able to get in under the hood a little bit more than what you're allowed in the collab. I've gotten very good with, very proficient. I shouldn't say good. That's a little egotistical. Very proficient about using it. Yeah, it's maybe I can do some of that if the version 4 doesn't implement the aspect ratio that I'd like. And I don't know. I'm just not interested in working on square images in midjourney. It's bizarre to me. As I say, we like to I like to just I like to have characters in it. And I like the environment and the atmosphere to really play a role in my midjourney work. And it really takes off from there. I know other people use it different ways, but that's kind of my thing. And yeah, a lot of stuff happening in the AI world, and starting. Some people are happy about this, some people aren't. I come from a commercial world, and I think tools like this make smaller. I've worked for big studios, the biggest studios, on huge projects, and this, now that I'm on my own, having something like this, makes me competitive in more markets. So I am pretty excited. I gotta say, I'm also coming off of Halloween. Like, Halloween is just such a great time, for creativity and aesthetics. I'm kind of collapsing now afterwards. Like, oh, can I do anything for Thanksgiving? Can I have a Thanksgiving? And I am thinking about a couple of things. I think I got a project I can run through for Thanksgiving. We're also we're New England is in stick season now. We passed autumn, and now we're in stick season, and that's the season before the snow comes, but after the leaves have fallen. And then winter has a lot of good aesthetics that we can play on. But so I think I got quite a few weeks of fun stuff I could share on this channel, and hopefully I get some more people. I get some people showing up, and I figure out how to use this stuff a little bit better. It's exciting, and the tools for streaming seem to be pretty robust. It's just getting to know and figuring out how to set these things up. But I'm happy that I was able to ramble for almost an hour and go through this stuff. So, all right, until next week, that's it. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching this. All right, see you later.